Okay, so let's talk about light cones for a bit. So in Honkai Star Rail, light cones are pretty much the equivalent to weapons in other games. And because of that, light cones are pretty important since they give huge stat boosts, and each and every single one of them has a unique buff or trigger that they provide to our characters. So we have 3-star light cones, 4-star light cones, and 5-star light cones, which all vary in strength and what they provide. Obviously the 3-star light cones being the weakest and the 5-star light cones being the strongest. Starting right off, I would recommend not to level up or invest your resources into any of the 3-star light cones since they are pretty basic and easily replaceable with 4-star ones. Just so you know, 3-star light cones also provide less base stats than 4-star light cones, and the same applies when you compare 4 stars to 5-star light cones. But just looking at the 3-star light cones, you can see that they provide pretty basic stats and triggers. Overall, the only 3-star light cone I would personally recommend to invest your resources into is the Chorus, which is a pretty good light cone for early to mid game that can be put on your Harmony support characters that are Asta, Tingyon and Bronya. Now when it comes to 4-star light cones, we will be able to obtain some of them through pulls obviously, but most of them we will be able to farm through the weekly bosses and Memory of Chaos shards. So weekly bosses are capped at 3 per week and can drop specific 4-star light cones. Another way to get 4-star light cones is with shards, which we will also get from weekly bosses, but most of them will come from progressing and pushing through Memory of Chaos floors. Especially when you first time clear a Memory of Chaos floor, you will get a nice chunk of these light cone shards. And then we use those shards and spend them in the shop that is located right in front of the Memory of Chaos mode. Pretty simple. So most of the 4-star light cones are insanely good and don't fall that much behind when compared to the 5-star light cones. So I would recommend to invest into them since they are going to be our main source of stats and damage for the foreseeable future. Well, until we get 5-star light cones, but always having 4-star light cones for your characters is going to be good. I don't want to go over all the 4-star light cones, just keep in mind that they are really versatile. Some of the more important light cones that I want to mention and that are easily obtainable and farmable is A Day of My New Life, which has March 7th on it, and it provides insane good defense buff to the character that has it equipped and also provides overall damage resistance to all allies. All you need to know that this is really good for the tankiness of your whole team. We also have the Dan Heng light cone that can be used on any hunt archetype character and is also incredibly strong since it gives a big attack boost, and if there are 2 enemies or less, it increases your crit rate by a significant amount. Also, I want to clarify this specific light cone because I feel like people will get confused by it since the wording and the description is a little bit off. So the mods welcome you, which says for every basic attack, skill and ultimate, it gives you a stack that increases your attack by 12%. Now, reading it like this, it seems like you can stack this thing to infinity, but it doesn't work like that. It stacks to a maximum of 3 times. You get 1 stack for a basic attack that you do, you get 1 stack for the skill you do, and 1 for ultimate. Now, I don't know specifically if it's 3 times or 2 times, since in the beta it would sometimes only give 2 stacks and sometimes only 3 stacks. So I don't know if it was a bug or not. Just keep in mind that this light cone has a stack limit, because if it didn't, it would be the most broken thing ever. Another great example of the 2 different 4-star light cones are the Harmony ones, or the Healer light cones. Here we have post-up conversations, a light cone you can get from any banner pool, and a light cone that is not that bad for Natasha, since it increases the overall regeneration for her and it increases the ultimate healing. But I would recommend to invest more resources into the farmable 4-star light cone called Shared Feelings, which to me is way better since it increases the overall healing output by 10%, and when using a skill regenerates 2 energy for all allies, and this is only level 1 superimposition. When you get this thing to level 2 superimposition, the energy for everyone instantly jumps to 3 energy. It doesn't look that good at first, but trust me, it is incredible since you will be using Natasha's skill a lot, and over the course of a fight you will feel those energy numbers you get from it. When you start pushing more difficult content, the flat energy regeneration can come in really clutch, where it gives you just enough energy for a certain character on your team to get the ultimate and give you just that little push that you needed to clear or fail a certain fight. It happened to me on several occasions when I was pushing higher level content. I'm pretty much talking here about my personal experience, so overall Shared Feelings light cone is really good. Now, 5-star light cones are obviously strong and busted, but instead of talking how strong they are, I want to focus more on the free-to-play 5-star light cones that you get from playing the game and farming. There are 3 specific 5-star light cones that you can get from Herta shop with Herta tickets. Now, the way you get Herta tickets is by first time completing simulated universe worlds, and then later on you get 1 Herta ticket every week by completing the weekly simulated universe runs. In the Herta ticket shop you can buy 5-star light cones, standard banner pools and superimposition tokens. I know that the standard banner pools will look really tempting to you, but I highly recommend you to buy the light cones first, and then after that start buying the superimposition tokens that are used to level up the light cones even further, so they give even higher unique stats. Now the first 2 light cones to go for is either going to be the 5-star destruction light cone that goes well with any destruction character, which gives big stacks of attack and also gives damage buff that procs when you inflict a weakness break on an enemy, or the 5-star hunt light cone that can be used on your hunt characters that gives a good amount of crit chance and a nice attack boost for 3 turns when you defeat an enemy. A tip I would also want to give here is to always keep in mind about a specific light cone you have equipped on your characters, so you can always get the full potential out of them. I'm saying this because it happened to me multiple times in the beta where I would completely forget about a certain light cone trigger and completely waste a valuable buff on my characters. Now, last thing I want to mention is probably the superimposition thing, which is pretty much if you have a duplicate light cone, you can use it to increase the superimposition level to a maximum of level 5. Personally, I would recommend to not to do this unless you are absolutely certain you don't need or want multiple of your 4-star or 5-star light cones. Why I'm mentioning this is because if you superimpose a light cone and only have that one light cone, you will get into situations where you will need to constantly swap that one light cone between multiple of your characters. But an even worse situation is going to be where you have, for example, 2 tank characters but only one strong superimposed tank light cone. So pretty much you can't use one of your characters if you need 2 tanks. So it's going to be smart to level up and have a few copies of a strong light cone. So as I already stated, I would highly recommend not to superimpose your light cones until later on, once we figure out what's good to superimpose and what's not. This was a really quick glimpse and some tips on light cones in Honkai Star Rail. I will do a more in-depth look at light cones once the game is actually out and we get to play more of it and test more things out. But yeah, thank you all for watching and see you in the next video.